We are talking once again money with financial advisor Winnie Sun, who's also the managing partner of Sun Group Wealth Partners. Forgiving student loans, the stock market, debt ceiling. We'll get into all this, Winnie, but I kind of want to start with holiday shopping. And, people are scratching their heads because they're hearing news reports about saying you better start early, you better start now. So any tips or advice when it comes to mitigating budget, but also especially when it comes to shipping costs? I heard shipping costs are on the rise.
Yeah, shipping costs are absolutely going on the rise. There was an announcement from the U.S. Postal Service, Mike, that like starting early October until December 26th, which is like the prime holiday season,
Yeah.
shipping rates are going up. Not only like regular greeting cards, but as well as shipping costs. So it's getting a lot more expensive, and then so you're adding that on top of the inflation concerns. So
Mhm.
here's my tips for you. So this is what I'm doing for family and friends, especially like teachers, for example, that you want to get a gift to, maybe your kids' teachers. Consider giving them virtual gift cards. These are great. They tend to be easier to keep track of. You don't lose them. And there's a survey that came out not too long ago that showed that most people do actually prefer to get gift cards. It actually also helps them decide when the best time would be to buy the items that they want. So something like that. And then, focus on local, like restaurants, delivery service, people that you can
Yeah.
support in your community. Those are the directions I would definitely take.
But if you do ship, ship early, right? Because the closer you get to the date, more expensive it's going to be.
Ship early, and if you can, look at your credit cards, because a lot of credit card companies actually give you points and miles and to kind of have offset some of the increases in pricing of shipping. So I would look at that as well.
Okay, let's talk about the stock market. September usually can be a challenging month historically. We're coming up on mid-October here. Um, I don't know. What's the biggest concern right now as we head toward the end of the year?
Well, October is kind of crazy because October is known to be kind of like one of the most volatile months of the year. So historically, we've seen consistently that this is actually the toughest month within the entire stock market year. So we'll see up and down percentages, volatility of 1% isn't going to be unexpected. But here's another thing to consider. It's been quite a long time. Typically, within 1 year, historically, we have about three plus or minus three 5 to 7% corrections during the year. We haven't had one in almost a year,
Huh.
so we are overdue. So there is a reason to believe there could be some corrections coming this month, or at least at the end of the year.
Still concerned about a debt ceiling, in Congress and all the back and forth about that?
Debt ceiling, here's the thing. So we all have to keep a budget. The government has to keep a budget as well. And you could say, like, how is this going to impact us? It definitely impacts a lot of Americans, because if we don't get this resolved, obviously this could create really economic havoc here in the United States. People who are relying on Social Security, Medicare payments, uh, you know, government employees, their paychecks, as well as the child tax credit. So we want to make sure this is resolved. And it looks like it probably will be sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then we'll probably be okay for now. But the good news is historically, it's always been increased over 100 times. So,
I think some people are like, how does the government run out of money? Like, how is that even possible?
well, they borrow too much, they spend
Yeah.
too much. So,
Yeah.
like we know how much they've spent during this pandemic. So it looks like that's not going to improve anytime soon. So I think we definitely need to get this
Yeah.
debt ceiling raised just to get us through the year.
Hey, when it comes to student loans, there's also been chatter about more and more student loans possibly being forgiven down the road. If someone is at home and this possibly happens to them, what do you think their next financial move should be? If their student loan is indeed forgiven here.
So that's the good news. A lot of Americans have seen their student loans forgiven, and you're right, Mike. There's a lot of talk that there's going to be more, and then the Biden administration is looking to forgive more. If you're in that situation where you've had your loan forgiven, then it's time to buckle down. Number one would be like, pay off any credit card debt that you haven't paid off yet. And second would be to beef up that emergency savings. That's key right now. And then the next step would, if you've done all those as well, then look towards 401k, look at company matching, look at ways to make a difference in your financial life, and pretend that you still owe that payment for student loans and put it towards yourself.
All right, backdoor Roth. Tell me about this, because you said this is trending this week, and I'm not sure I know much about it. So explain to all of us here.
Yeah, the backdoor Roth is, I've been getting so many phone calls on this, and this is a really big topic. So what it is basically everyone knows that a Roth IRA has a lot of benefits, right? You go in after tax dollars. But if you hold this account until 59 and a half and beyond, then it's 100% tax free on both your principal as well as any growth. So no the
Hmm.
federal, state, local, AMT tax, none of that. So it's great. But some of us don't qualify, especially in states such as California, New York, areas where you have high income. A lot of Americans say, well, I don't qualify for a Roth IRA because I make too much, even though it's not giving me, you would think, as I can't stretch my wallet as much, even though it looks like on paper that I make quite a bit more than the Roth allows. Well, what this enables you to do is you can actually contribute to a traditional IRA. Okay, as long as you have income, you
Yeah.
could potentially contribute to a traditional IRA and convert that into a Roth IRA in the very close near future. I've had tons of calls. We've been doing this for many clients for many years, but just depends on when you need the money. But it's something to consider. If you make just a little bit more, or more than the threshold of the Roth, and you really want the Roth, speak to your accountant or financial advisor, because this is something that we can help with.
All right. Always good advice from Winnie's son. Hey, before we take off here, Halloween spending. I don't know about you, but I've gone big this year. I think because last year I feel my children kind of get, left out of it. There's no trick or treating. But I've seen in our neighborhood a lot more people decorating homes. Do you feel like people are spending more, on Halloween decorations?
I see that too. My neighborhood is like all decorated. I'm really excited to see this. I do think we're sort of trying to get a sense of normalcy again. I don't know about spending more. I think today's consumer is a lot more careful about where they're spending and what they're spending on. So I'm thinking a lot is being recycled, but if you can and can get a good deal, why not?
Why not? Why not? All right, Winnie, appreciate your time. Have a great rest of the week.
Thank you so much, Mike. Take care.